From the Norman Adrian Wiggins School of Law at Campbell University, we present Money Masters. And today's topic is going to be the topic on the largest financial asset in the world, real estate. We're going to examine the problems of real estate that you've all heard about since the financial crisis of 2008. We've heard of the demise of Lehman Brothers, the dissipation of Bear Stearns, and the securities industry in an uproar, countrywide mortgage taking the country down. And real estate was behind all of that. So today on the panel, we have some very special guests. We have Dr. Boris Abbey from the world of academia. He is the Lundy Chair of the Philosophy of Business at Campbell University. From the world of business, we bring you Kim Calhoun, a serial entrepreneur and CEO. And for today's special guest, we have the leading, as many people call them, the leading real estate speaker in the world, James Smith. He spoke before and with Gerald Ford, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Colin Powell, Terry Bradshaw, Steve Forbes, and he speaks worldwide on real estate, traveling to countries such as England, Ireland, Germany, New Zealand, Dubai, China, Singapore, South Africa, and some countries you haven't heard about like Benin. Just coming in from Canada, we'd like to welcome to Money Masters the leading real estate speaker in the world, James Smith. James, welcome to Money Masters.
Thank you so much.
So,
it's great to be here.
Great. Tell us, how'd you get involved in real estate? Somebody said you were buying homes at 18?
I got started really early in life in school. Everybody likes to brag about how smart they are and how talented they are. I was one of those kids that didn't do necessarily that well in school. I was in a VOTEC program, and on this real large job site, a very wealthy man owned the real estate, and I asked him one day if he would show me what he knows. And he said, "You want me to mentor you?" And I'd never heard the word in my life, because I thought mentor was like breath mints that you buy at a convenience store. And so he became my mentor. And he told me later that he had, 39 years prior, he had asked somebody to mentor him, and they did. And we kind of become who we hang out with. So I had the blessing of having a mentor that showed me the ropes as a teenage boy in 1966 is when I got started. And yes, I bought my first property as a teenager.
Well, some of our panelists have a question is, how did you buy real estate as a teenager? I mean, where's your credit, your history, your income? I mean, how do you do that?
I didn't have any credit, and I didn't have a job per se. I had a part-time job, so you had to do things different. You couldn't do things normal. The whole world is taught to be normal, and if you can be extraordinary and do things extraordinary things will happen for you. So I knew how to put together the deal. My mentor showed me. I followed the steps. It works then. It works in the 70s, it works in the 80s, the 90s, it works in the 2000s and beyond. It's just understanding how to overcome the obstacles, because people will tell you what you can't do. You need to know what you can do. The gentleman I bought the property from said, "Boy, how old are you?" And I said, "I'm old enough to own your home. How old are you?" And age is just a number,
right?
Unless you want it to define you.
Right. So from once you bought your home, how did you get involved further in real estate? In other words, what interested you when you were in high school? Did you take your real estate course in high school?
They don't have any real estate courses in high school.
Okay. So when you went on to college, I'm sure you took your real estate class in college and learned the real ropes of the way through college courses, right?
The university I went to had 0 classes on real estate. Or wealth creation.
Okay. Well, wait a minute. You are telling me that the largest financial industry in the world, the largest financial industry in the United States, the colleges and universities you went to had no courses in real estate?
0.
Okay, so we're going to move this to Dr. Boris Abbey. Since you come from the world of academia, not that we're going to put you on the spot today, but we will. And you teach at university level, and you have a PhD, an MBA, and a JD, 2 doctorate degrees. Where throughout that education did you take your real estate course?
Actually didn't. I think what James mentioned, which is very important, is mentorship. Finding people out there who will mentor you, because most people look at the average college professor as standing up in front of a class and lecturing. I don't believe that's the case. I believe you really need to be involved with your students, be involved with individuals even outside of the university. I've had students involved with real estate before who decided not to get a bachelor's degree, and I supported them exiting academia simply because that wasn't for them. They had a skill set, they were trained, they were capable, and just like James said, you go out, if you want to be exceptional, you just go out and do it. And also find the right people to follow, to get information from and leadership training skills from.
But in all the coursework you took, MBA, PhD, JD, BA, did you ever take a real estate course?
No.
And why not?
Because they simply weren't offered.
Oh, they simply weren't offered. Okay. Kim, we're from the world of business, okay? Since you've been in business a long time, a serial entrepreneur, a CEO, when did you take your first real estate course?
I didn't take a real estate course. I went to seminars, listened to lectures, bought my first real estate book, and reading on how to do it, but they don't exist. And to be honest with you, I've only known of one other person at the age of 18 to buy a house, and I know how she was able to afford it. She was very smart, inherited some money, and instead of blowing it away, she invested. She bought it because she wanted it. I get the feeling you bought your first house when you were 18 as an investment. Am
Yes.
I correct?
I did.
That is awesome. I don't think anyone recommended to her to buy it as an investment, and she didn't realize she was doing that. But they need more educations like this in school. I mean, it would be great to learn what is real estate and the value of it in high school. And they don't teach that, do they?
Well, and the challenge is you don't have people that may have the skill set to teach it. They're certainly smart enough, there's no question, but they may not have the skill set. And skill sets, as we all know, you can learn. And there's some books out, like Robert Kiyosaki wrote a book. If you listen to the name of the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, indicates that his biological father, who was a PhD, who was a professor, couldn't teach him the things that he wanted to know. So his best friend's dad, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, his best friend's dad was the rich dad, and he never went to college, but he was a real estate mogul and taught Robert Kiyosaki. That's a great example. So with mentorship comes success. If you have somebody that's done it, you can walk them through the process. Or if you're in Canada, process.
Process, okay, right. So tell me, how did you learn it? In other words, you had a mentor. Did that person stay with you, or how did you happen to learn the real estate industry?
For about 18 months to 2 years, I worked kind of on and off with him, and he would guide me. One of the things, and we certainly aren't going to cover it here, that a person would really need to know is how to calculate a capitalization rate, because that's part of the health of a property you're buying or selling, and it's an indicator. I literally had to be taught how to do that 4 times as a teenager before I understood it, because it didn't make sense. I needed to learn it. There's a lot of things we need to know that don't make sense, but the challenge is a lot of people won't spend the time. So the man showed me 4 times, and after I got it, I've trained probably 40 or 50,000 people how to calculate capitalization rates. And my own children, I taught when they were little boys how to do capitalization rates.
Okay, so this goes back to the rich
Sure.
dad, poor dad thing. How much real estate does your children play with? I mean, what are they?
Well, I have a son that's in his mid-30s. He has 27,000 properties.
Okay, wait, time out. Let's hear this one again. You have your son in your mid-30s. Now, how many properties did you say he had? He had 27 properties?
27,000 properties.
Okay. That's a big number.
That's a big.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
All right, now what else do we have?
His annual revenue is extremely high. It's more than, athletes make.
Right. And these are residential and commercial?
Yeah, residential
Really?
and commercial.
Okay, so both sides.
Yeah.
And so they have a natural mentor in you, right?
Yes.
But when it comes to financial education, which is what this show is all about,
Yes.
financial education for everybody, what about all the people at, that are viewing the show? Where do they go to get this financial education?
Well, I mean, you could find a mentor. You could, track the information down through reading some really good books, but you need somebody that's actually done success to experience success, because if somebody doesn't have success, they can't dispense it. And we become, I believe, the 5 people that we spend the most time with. God gives you your family and you need to love them, but you can choose people that you spend time with to help you become successful, because as you become successful, you bring up your family and your closest friends, which is what you want to do.
So it's really important on who you associate with.
Absolutely.
Is what you're looking
Yes.
at. Now, when it comes to just education in this area, won't a lot of people just turn off? I mean, who wants to know anything about real estate? Isn't it better for somebody else to just do this all for me?
Absolutely. That's what I do.
Okay.
I help people learn that.
Okay.
And, this is a television filming,
Yes.
right? We're going to be on television.
Yes.
I think this program that people are watching right now is so very powerful. And a lot of people in this country are in an age group where they see on ads on television, why don't we take all the equity out of our house and get a monthly check? You
Right.
see those, right?
Right.
I mean, all the time. Who are they targeting? Senior citizens. Why? They don't have enough money. Why? They didn't have their working years, didn't indicate enough cash for them to live a quality of life. So they get rid of the equity in their homes. And it's a tragedy when I see some of the things that seniors are doing, when actually there's other alternatives for them, but they don't know.
Right. Dr. Abbey, from the world of academia, we know that there's 1 million to 2 million bankruptcies in the United States. We know that there are millions and millions of other people that are unemployed. We know also that the United States right now is heavily involved in financial literacy and education. What is the academic response to the problem that James has brought out, that many people, they end up going into retirement and they just don't have anything?
Well, I really think it focuses on one of the central themes, and that's economic empowerment and also education. And I think having a mentor there and associating with the right people is very, very critical. If you grow up in an environment where you're spending more than you make, you do that throughout your entire life, living off credit, and the data out there shows that millions of Americans are doing this, it leads to economic destruction. You'll wind up being 50 or 60 years old, getting a second or third mortgage on your house, and dying with nothing. And actually that has happened to some of my family members. I was one of the few lucky ones that was actually able to go to college and get a formal education. I think it's critical that we have TV shows like this to go out there and to reach people, to educate them. Because there's somebody sitting out there right now who might be faced at a crossroads. What do? Do they get that second mortgage on their house, or do they go out and try to do something different? Think outside the box. Be exceptional. Don't follow your neighbors who are going out trying to flip houses or doing things that are not economically sustainable.
Yeah. So where do the academia, what do they do to help people in that particular area? Are there real estate courses that are being developed? Are we recognizing the financial literacy or illiteracy problem that exists all the way from college all the way down to high school?
I have seen a push in academia for basic financial literacy courses. I teach in the business school, so it's fairly obvious that students getting a business education will obtain those simple basic skills, but it's the English majors, the history majors, the medical students. You wouldn't believe how many physicians out there or individuals making more than $100,000, $200,000 a year, they cannot balance a checkbook. So I think it's critical in academia for everyone watching and listening today to go out and to try to at least develop basic financial literacy courses at the collegiate level, preferably at the freshman level, because that's when they start sustaining debt. That's when they start working. If they start spending unwisely, for example, they get their check back for their tuition, that they don't go out and buy sneakers or waste it on other things, that maybe they save it or put it towards their college debt, which is also a huge issue in America.
Right. Kim, from the world of business, since you get the business hard knocks, where are you learning, where do you see the development of financial literacy relating to real estate?
Well, there's not a lot out there to gain it without the School of Hard Knocks. And something that Jim mentioned, mentorship. And I find no matter how old I get, I need a mentor. I'm learning that now with my new business that I'm trying to ramp up. It's always good to have those mentors and those smart people come to you and share with you their experiences. So there's nothing really out there that teaches you. I think TV shows like this are a brilliant idea to bring it out in the open, but also start getting people's minds open to what exists out there and who exists out there to help us learn. I've seen Jim speak, I've seen the others speak, but I don't think other people know that they really exist.
Right.
And awareness is the biggest key to education.
Yes. Okay, so James, you go around the world literally,
Yes. speaking
on real estate. What sort of reception do you get about real estate, education, mentorship? Do people go, oh, this is really good, but there's a new movie coming out I want to see, or wait, there's a football game I want to go to, and this guy's telling me I have to learn something. I don't want to do that.
Well, when you say real estate, you just say the word, it conjures up something in your head. Some people listening right now think, well, maybe I have to get a real estate license. That's incorrect. Or they think maybe I need to go get a business degree. That's incorrect. So the nice thing is there's an old adage, and I'm sure you've heard this, when the student is ready, the master appears. So if you get focused and you want to do something different with your life, you can. And I gave you a number what one of my sons has, a lot of property, but you really only need, if you're married, maybe 3 properties that could bring you financial security. I'm not talking about Bentleys and Ferraris. I'm just talking about go where you want, when you want, how you want, eat what you want, be what you want. That's what we're talking about, safety net, right? So 3 properties could actually do that for the average American investor. And if you're single, you need to, in my opinion, do 2 properties and you're good. That's a good basis. It's not, hey, we're going to get rich quick if you just make a bunch of offers. It's doing something that can also have a social consciousness, which is what PBS is also about, having a social consciousness. And so that it's a win-win. You win, the city wins, the county wins, society wins, and your family wins. So there's no dead bodies on the side of the road. If somebody, like you just mentioned, we got millions of bankruptcies. We also have millions and millions of foreclosures. 1 out of 8 mortgages right now is behind in payments. 1 out of 8. So even we haven't arrived to where we're good. The numbers just came out on the gross national product. It's a little lower than people had hoped. So we're still not out of the woods. There's still things that can be done. So if you're a problem solver, by helping other people get what they need, you'll receive more than you deserve. And that's not a cute little soundbite, that's a fact. And so I focus on how can I help other people in this situation.
Yeah. When I look at real estate shows, there's one on television, it goes all the time. People walk in, they have a budget they want to spend on their house. And some of them I've seen, they're like huge budgets. And then you look at their jobs and their jobs aren't really, but they never tell you what their income is.
No.
The jobs look like they can't support this huge home, but it's their dream home. And it boils down to monthly payment that may be something they can afford, maybe not. Shouldn't people just say, well, forget all this real estate education. I want my dream home and money doesn't matter as long as you get the bank to loan me.
Absolutely not. That's how we got in this mess. People had easy access to money with no verification. They had no doc loans, as you all are familiar with. You mentioned Countrywide.
Right.
Their assets were taken over by Bank of America, and they're still assimilating things. There's still files that they can't find from those days. They don't exist.
So I just shouldn't spend a limit and get my dream home. If the bank lends me $500,000, $1 million, I should borrow it, right? Just buy it and get my dream home.
People need to learn to crawl, then to walk, then to jog, then to run, then to fly. So that process could take 5 years. And it's not the dream home you want. You have to learn to walk. And if you commit yourself in anything, even these shows about flipping houses you see on TV, you'll see some of those prices, and if you've got basic 8th grade math skills, the person that ends up with that house has to be in the top 3% of income earners in the United States. So I focus on what about the single mom with 3 kids that's on food stamps. So how do I get her in a house and she's working not 1 job, 2 jobs, and she's still on food stamps and she lives in the projects on Section 8 housing? How do I help her? So I don't just focus on the 3%ers or the 1%ers. I'm focusing on people right now that are eating mac and cheese when they should be eating filet mignon, or if they're vegan, organically grown food.
So you're telling me no to my dream home, spend whatever the bank will lend me. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm saying I want you to walk and then get you to run. I can get your dream home for you.
Okay, good. I want my dream home
I
now.
can help you with your dream
Dr.
home.
Dr. Borsell, Abby, help me out. Okay, this is America. I want my dream home now. This guy's saying no, so we'll put him aside for right now. And academia, of course.
Well, it's finance.
I want my beautiful home. I've seen it on TV. I'm drooling of the big kitchen. Come on.
You never use your own money to invest. You use somebody else's. That way, if things go belly up,
right,
the risk isn't on your back.
Okay, so it's okay for me to borrow to the max limit, right?
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely. Get my dream home.
No, I was kidding.
Okay.
No, in all seriousness, actually, I have a question for Jim.
Sure.
What do you think is the #1 obstacle right now for that single mom with 3 kids eating mac and cheese in obtaining home ownership? Have the regulations become too stringent? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, this is a little different. I had an ex-president hear me speak, and afterwards in the green room in the back, he said, if I had met you prior to me running for president, you would have probably been one of my director of HUDs or such. Here's the issue. In this country, even right now, we can go into Chicago, we can go into Detroit, we can go into East Dallas, we can go into Houston, I can do this. We can go into Pittsburgh, California, Richmond, California, Richmond, Virginia. Half of it has a major low-income area. And poor people don't have a mentor. But if you track what they do, they spend a lot of time when they have extra time watching programs or getting entertained, spending a lot of money on things that are depreciating assets. So if they don't know, people are poor for a reason. In the Bible it says the poor will always be with you. That's a direct quote. And if you're an atheist, in the Bible it says the poor will always be with you. It's irrelevant. It says it, and it's true, because they will always be with you. And so we have literally tens of millions of houses in this country, and they call it the hood. I mean, you'll hear that all the time. I live in the hood. The hood's over here. You ask a police officer, where's the hood? I don't have to describe what I'm saying. All I need to look is a commercial footprint, and I know I'm in the hood. I think we would all agree with that, right? So people have a sense of hopelessness, helplessness, and those people, like Kansas City, Kansas, I mean, most of the houses there are in the hood downtown, and they're on Section 8 rent. So the government, mathematically, you're a business expert, will pay me every month for keeping this person in this house. They don't appreciate the house because I own it and they don't. I get a check every month. That check could be $1,000 a month. Here's what's wild. I could buy that house potentially $5 grand, $6 grand, $7 grand. And I can do this all over the country right now. There are exceptions of cities that have hoods where houses are a lot more. But if I can get a house for, let's say, 10 grand, and I put, let's say, 7,000, 8,000 in it to bring it current and clean it up, and I put somebody in it and they tear it up as an investor, that doesn't do anything for me. I can let that house be owned by my self-directed retirement program. Everybody listening can have one. Even your little girl who's in the 3rd grade can have a self-directed educational IRA. So watch this. If I put, say, 10,000 in it, and I fix it up for 7, I got 17,000 in it, and I put the family in, I get $1,000 a month. My break-even point is 17 months. Name the investment where you get 100% of your money back in 17 months. Not many, right? I mean, not many. The rate of return on that, you calculate it, it's major double digits. Here's how I help the family. I'll tell the family, stay in the house, treat the house with respect, treat me with respect, and I will give you the deed to the house in 181 months for a $1 bill. You'll be a homeowner.
Thank you for coming to Money Masters. And this portion of Money Masters, we've had some great panelists, Dr. Boris Abbey. We've had Listen from Business with Kim Calhoun, and of course our very special guest, one of the leading speakers in real estate, literally in the world, here to make difference in your life, the lives of your children, and the lives of your grandchildren. Thank you for attending Money Masters.
Take my